What's good, everybody? Welcome to the Pull Up and Chat. My name is BJ Mathews, aka B Jizzle. Before we get started, follow us on the YouTube page, the Pull Up Basketball Podcast, Spotify, Iheartradio, Twitter, TikTok, the Pull Up Basketball Podcast. You know what I'm saying? Like, share, subscribe, all of our YouTube videos. You know what I'm saying? Hit the notification bell on the top of the screen, get all the updated content. Let's get it popping. All right, check it out. I did a video yesterday, right, with Joel Embiid and Nikola Jokic. After the aftermath of the game on Monday, where Joel Embiid was the dominant player, outplayed Nikola Jokic. The Nuggets got the win, but clearly Joel Embiid was the best player on the floor, right? I made that video, right? Yesterday I watched some sports shows. Today I watched some sports shows this morning, and I turned on the TV, and I was really very trying to understand what's there to really even continue to question. The MVP race apparently has now opened back up to an open race instead of Joel Embiid being the clear leader. I watched this show called First Things First with Chris Broussard, Wiles, I forgot his last name, and then Nick Wright, and this other lady, I don't remember her name, but she's somewhat the moderator of the show. First Thing is First. And they were talking about this MVP race. It was apparently 6 people in the race. DeMar DeRozan, Nikola Jokic, Ja Morant, Joel Embiid, Giannis Antetokounmpo, and Luka Doncic. When I saw how this ladder was actually made, I understood why the Kia NBA MVP voting really, you have to question who's doing the voting. You really do, because I'm convinced a lot of these analysts do not watch these games. I'm convinced a lot of these analysts go off of strictly analytics. They don't go off of, actually observing the game and analyzing the game correctly. They go off of box scores. They go off of, advanced analytics. Geekheads, if you guys want to put it in simple terms. The ladder that they had, this one of the people on the show had, was DeMar DeRozan of the Chicago Bulls, Nikola Jokic of the Denver Nuggets, Ja Morant of the Memphis Grizzlies, Joel Embiid of the Philadelphia 76ers, Giannis Antetokounmpo of the Milwaukee Bucks, and Luka Doncic of the Dallas Mavericks. I'm not gonna go through all these guys and try to dissect why each player deserves why. I'm just gonna go straight to the credit of the source. Joel Embiid, what is the problem with just giving him his award? What is the problem, and why are so many people trying to take this man's award from him? I don't get it. I don't understand it. But there's something that is not being added up, because all these other guys that are mentioned, they have not been as consistent as Joel Embiid the entire season. Joel Embiid has been healthy. Joel Embiid outbeat DeMar DeRozan 2 weeks ago when they came to Philadelphia against the Chicago Bulls. Joel Embiid had the better game and they won. Joel Embiid outbeat Giannis Antetokounmpo in Milwaukee about, I would say, a little over a month ago. Joel Embiid outbeat Giannis Antetokounmpo. They won the game in Milwaukee. Joel Embiid faces Nikola Jokic. This was the big battle of the bigs on Monday. Battle of the bigs in Philadelphia. Joel Embiid, from start to finish, outplayed Nikola Jokic to the point where Michael Malone of the Denver Nuggets coaching staff, the head coach, had to leave Nikola Jokic on the bench and let DeMarcus Cousins play in pivotal moments of the game, because Nikola Jokic could not keep up with the energy of Joel Embiid. This all comes from watching the game. This ain't got nothing to do with analytics and stats. This has everything to do with watching the game. And Joel Embiid had performance after performance after performance, dominating in all 3 of these categories. Ja Morant, nice player, good player, but the reason I can't give it to him, because when they didn't have him on the floor, they went 13-2, right? It's the most valuable player, meaning how valuable you are to your team. Where would your team be without you? And Memphis, now give them credit, they've been surprised. They surprised out of me. They're a great team. They're the second team out west. But again, with Ja Morant missing time and them going 13-2, you gotta that counts. I'm sorry to say, Ja, it's a tough situation with Ja because it's not his fault, but that's what it is. Giannis Antetokounmpo had a very good stretch, but he's on and off. There'll be a week he'll just come out of nowhere and say, "Oh, he's the MVP." But what about the beginning of the year? What about all these other factors that factor in? He's hot 1 minute, and then the next minute he's not. Hot 1 minute, next minute he's not. Now I get it. There's been situations with his team that's been a little bit up and down with injuries. We know Chris Middleton and Drew Holiday. That's fine, but that's part of the game. And we can't go off with just one week after next week, 1 week after next week. We gotta go on consistency. Um, who else? DeMar DeRozan had a hot stretch, but they can't seem to beat the top teams. They can't seem to beat. I think they were like 0-16 against all the top seeds in the league. You can't give the MVP to somebody like that. DeMar DeRozan has had a great turnaround here a year. I'm very happy for him. Um, One of the top guards of the league for sure. And I feel like people wrote him off because of everything that happened with Toronto and everything. So I'm grateful he got his contract and he's showing what he can do because DeMar DeRozan's a killer, but he's not the MVP. Um, Jokic, man, look, if you wanted to show Jokic as the MVP, he should have dominated that matchup with Joel Embiid the other night. That was the matchup where those were the two top picks. And they tried to skew over this, yes, and this really made me upset. There's a couple of shows that tried to skew over this fact. Oh, well, it wasn't a big game. They only faced once or twice a year, so it's not a big deal. If they play four times a year, then oh yeah, they should make that into account, the head-to-head matchups. But since they only face once or twice, it's not a big deal. Now, if Nikola Jokic had freaking 40 points, uh 20 rebounds, and like 10 assists, I guarantee you people have been saying, oh yeah, this is why Nikola Jokic is better than Joel Embiid. You know what I'm saying? It's not even close. But since Joel Embiid, everybody knows Joel Embiid dominated Nikola Jokic. They want to try to share credit. Oh, they're both great centers. Let's just appreciate both. They both do great things different ways. All that stuff, man. I'm not trying to hear all that, man. We're gonna keep it honest over here. It's clear. And Luka Doncic, man, look, no, no. They're the same as they were last year, the same they were before. They have not gotten any better. They had an addition of Spencer Dinwiddie, got rid of Kristaps Porzingis, and they got Jason Kidd as their coach. But they're pretty much in the same position they've been in the last 2 seasons. They haven't they haven't done nothing to move up the list like Luka Doncic has. They're the same team for the most part. They gotten better on defense. Yes, I give them credit. But as far as this season, I mean, Dallas is who they are, man. They just, Luka Doncic is gonna, have a high usage rate, try to score, assist, and he's gonna have, other glue guys around him, Dorian Finney-Smith, and Zach Powell and Max Kleber and guys like that. Now Spencer Dinwiddie, but nothing really has changed. Joel Embiid, with all he's had to go through with the Ben Simmons situation, with guys rotating in and out, what I'm saying, the roster, Steph Curry not being there, Andre Drummond, they have a no bench. Their bench is terrible. That's why they lost that game against Denver on Monday. They got outscored by Denver's bench 48-18, which is just ridiculous. The coaching is suspect with Doc Rivers. He does not want to make adjustments. Everybody knows Doc Rivers is famous for blowing 3-1 leads. Everybody knows Doc Rivers is famous for not making good adjustments. So he has to work against that. All that dysfunction Joel Embiid has had to work with leads the league in scoring, free throw attempts, the most dominant big in the league. What else is there to continuously debate about? If Joel Embiid wins those 2 games, one against Brooklyn and Denver, I guarantee you, we wouldn't be having this discussion. But now, because he lost those 2 games, even though he was the best player on the floor, clearly, we got to open this back up. Look, I get it. Joel Embiid has antics that people may not like. Certain antics I don't like that he does sometimes because he flops, because he's too dominant and big to be doing all that stuff. But if we're talking about this season, man, give this man his MVP. This is ridiculous. There's no point to keep having this question out there. I know it's good for TV and ratings. They're going to keep bringing this up. But come on, man. Joel Embiid is the rightful MVP. He's been the most consistent, dealing with the most drama all year. He's been a great leader for this team. They're in the 3rd seed of the Eastern Conference, and we're flirting with the 2nd and 1st seed, through parts of this season as well. Give that man his MVP, man. It's ridiculous. That's all I got to say about that. Continue to follow us on social media, Twitter, TikTok, YouTube, Spotify, Iheartradio. Pull up a seat, pull up a chair, pull up. Peace. I'm out.